Once again, the winds are changing. The earth and colours rearranging. Birds overhead, flying up to distant lands from here. Trees on fire, they are burning. The green man withdraws, leaves are turning. The Oak King wages war against the Holly King once more. With all things said and done, but where it all begun, we're all children of the sun. We swear by peace and love to stand heart to heart, hand in hand, facing the rising sun.
Build your fires, bring your loved ones to the light. The veil is thin, step through the curtain of the night, telling tales and singing songs, the legends of the lives before. A solstice moon looks down upon a land of black and white. Lonely owl calls out and echoes through the night. Standing stones rise up from a cold and frosty earth once more.
Hello, my darlings. Here we go again, very quickly after the quickie to the slightly longer session. Again, this is going to be an hour session, hopefully, if I can maintain it. If not, I'll blow my load. I've already blown my load with the quickie, to be honest with you, about the subject matter. But yeah, we can always see what's what with anyone else who wants to chat. There were some people last time. Jordan, I think it was the guy called Jordan. He was biting at the chumps to try to get on and have his say about the MGTOW thing. I think the MGTOW thing definitely got to them. So if you guys want to jump on, you may do so in this link. So this is an open panel session for anyone who wants to. Big up Eunice, big up Tarzan, big up Jaco Radio. So yeah, you guys can join the stream. Oh, big up Streets, the man of the hour. I haven't seen Streets in a long time, guys. Streets, jump on, mate. Let's have a little chat. Let's have a little catch up. Let's see how you've been. It's been a long time, buddy. I missed you. We just generally, I missed you guys talking. And oh man, as Englander as well. Where is Englander these days? I missed him too. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope the family is good, safe. I haven't spoken to you guys throughout the entire period of what's it called? The entire period of the Panimanic. I don't want to say the word. Maybe, I don't know if YouTube would help. I get screwed by YouTube all the time anyway. Are you MGTOW? Let's put it this way, Eunice. I would like to incorporate MGTOW philosophy into, or I do. It's not I would like to. I incorporate it when I pick dating options. So when I go on a date or when I try to get involved with a woman, it's not like I'm not a monk. I haven't wrote off women entirely. It's just that I have a much more critical eye on the female dating scene now, and also I just don't simply give women a pass on their bullshit because, you know, they have a vagina. I would rather not be with a woman than be with one that is basically going to make my life a living hell, and is constantly what's it called? It's constantly demanding. These high demanding women are as I said, I'm not saying you shouldn't have sex, but don't get married, don't have children with them, don't let them move in with you. Critical. But of course, you have to judge and gauge the woman's and because there are unicorns out there. Don't get me wrong, there are very few exceptional women that are awesome. And I can say my brother and my friend, two men that I know that have found such women who are exceptional, and they themselves look after those women as well. I mean, so they appreciate them too. It's not like they take them for granted. It's just very few women fall into that category. The numbers are like needles in a haystack, literally, especially if you live in the West. Get married in an Iranian village, Banksy. Getting married to a girl from a village in Iran is looking more and more appealing as the years go by, mate. There was a time where I outright rejected such concepts, because I wanted a woman that had a career. I wanted a woman who had her own mind and knew what she wanted out of life and went out and got it, because I wanted a strong, independent woman. Fuck that. That shit changed real quick after like mid-30s upwards. And in today's climate, forget it, dude. If you're going for those type of women, oh, you're up for a world of pain. You just that's the hurt locker right there. So yeah, it's entirely up to you guys. You do you, boo. That's all I say. You do you, boo. Because I'm not here to judge. But if it was me, hell no. Hell to the no. I'm not going anywhere near that shit. And I'm not interested in any of that shit. It's just too much. And I don't know, maybe when you get older you just can't be fucked anymore. You can't be asked to fuck around and take a woman's bullshit just because she gives you access to that 5 pound of vagina. That vagine is not as enticing anymore as it used to be, and it doesn't hold its sway with me as it used to. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just age. Maybe your testosterone levels drop, the fog of sex clears from your head, and you start looking at women and you think, yeah, sure, I would love to have sex with that, but the amount of bullshit that comes with that pair of tits and vagine is just not worth it. The bite is not worth the chew. So you just like, yeah, that's all right. It's all right. It's just I like sex. I like pretty women. I just don't need the shit that comes with them. And so you kind of like just step away, man. Dude, all I can say is I'm just waiting for the Japanese and their fucking sex robots. Come on, Japan. Let's get those fucking sex robots going, man. Let's go, Japan. Oh, we have a guest. Hello.
Hello, hi, it's me, Banksy.
Is that Eunice?
Yeah, hi.
Oh, big up, my man, big up. How are you,
Hi.
mate?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Another day, another euro, as they say. So, so what are your thoughts, mate? Share thy thoughts with us.
Yeah, I think the MGTOW thing and all that, the statements that you said was quite interesting, because I heard that, a lot of guys, they tend to, particularly in the West, they tend to, they travel to other parts of the world in order to, establish relationships or get married and stuff like that. I was quite shocked, like the level, to the extent in which people would actually do that. Literally, they'll probably save money every month in order to go to certain places, like for instance like Latvia, or places in which there are high female population.
But
women
do they go
population.
there just to get married, or are they going there for just sex, or?
I mean, they go there to, to see, to do sightseeing and all that, but also see women as well.
Okay, okay.
Via
Well,
Tinder or something like that.
I
So,
mean,
if you don't have any dates and all that, like in the London area or the UK, you might have zero matches and all that. But I heard that, you can get lots of matches if you go abroad and all. They see as high value man.
well, yeah. I mean, it all really depends. It all really depends.
Mm,
From what I've seen, what I've noticed, first of all, never underestimate a woman's ability to be incredibly savvy and devious about what they actually know. Like, you can go to some country which you think is kind of like developing nation, third world nations, and these women
mm,
will be like little innocent wallflower village girls, and they come at you, or in time you'll discover, holy shit, I picked up a freaking shark here. She knows everything. She's, they're savvy, and they know about all the various, about how to manipulate a man. Basically, it's about the woman's ability to know how to manipulate a guy effectively. Is really
mm,
what I always think. And women of all calibers, of all places and creeds and
mm.
backgrounds know
Yeah.
that. They just know that. They know. I mean, women know their
Mm.
power. Women have
Can I
always
ask you a
known.
question? Like, you just said, okay, that you prefer going with an Iranian woman from the village rather
Well,
than, than getting married in the UK.
it's not.
Why is that the
It's not
case?
just the Iranian woman. That just happens to be my background and my
Mm,
sort of, the kind of women that I happen to have access to that are
yeah,
traditional. It's really traditional. It's the traditions
yeah,
and the habits that I'm talking about. It's not necessarily a woman from Iran. It can be a woman from Philippines. It can be a woman from Cambodia or Brazil or Colombia. It's just that you need to be able to find that caliber of woman that wants to delivered by donkey. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by these commenters. But yeah, it needs to be a woman of that has those traditional values instilled in her as a child. Now, that is the part that's quite important to me, is that most of these women actually don't have. Most women raised in the West, it doesn't matter how much they claim to be traditional, they haven't had those values really instilled in them. The values of feminism is ingrained in them because they live in this country, they go to school in this country, they grow up with their peers in this country. It is impossible, I would wager it is 100% impossible to find a truly traditional woman in this part of the
C-
world anymore.
Can I ask you a question, Banksy? Do you know feminists? Do you think? I don't think a lot of feminists are misandrous people.
No, no. Feminists or women who
Yeah.
embody the values of feminism may not necessarily be misandrous, but with today's climate and the variety of different influences that women are under in the Western world, there is misandry ingrained into that. It's kind of sewn into the system. And so the misandry, whether they themselves, I mean, there's go on TikTok. There's literally hundreds of women, if not more, thousands of women that are really pissed off at these misandrous feminists who get all the headlines and who get all the attention, where they're just shitting on men. There are women on TikTok right now. There's literally collections of them. My friends send me because they're kind of into that MGTOW philosophy as well. Of all these women talking about how shitty other women are, and how badly they're behaving, and how much they hate the fact that they say, oh, we hate men and kill all men and this and that, because these women talk about, my father is a man, I adore my father,
Mm,
my brothers are men, I adore my brothers, they're good men,
mm,
they're stand-up blokes, they look after their families, they look after their wives and
mm.
their sisters. So how dare you say kill all men and forget about all men? These are
Yeah.
my relatives you're talking about. These are men in my life that I adore and love. So
Do
women
you think they
are
genuinely mean
pushing
it though?
back.
Because they have fathers probably, and they got brothers, and they got
Exactly.
sons and all that. Do they generally mean it? That's the thing.
I think so. I mean, there was a time where I was highly skeptical about these women and their intentions because is this just to get clicks and followers on TikTok? Is this just a thing that they know that is popular with men especially, so they're going to get a lot of views out of it, or is this genuine? I can't talk directly about the TikTokers and the YouTubers who are women who talk about this toxic feminism, which is prevalent. But what I can say is the women in my life that I know, my aunties and my mom and even girlfriends that I've had, they hate this shit. They are incredibly upset about this. My mom, reels about this shit. Goes, she goes more MGTOW than I do when she hears this kind of crap coming out of these feminists, because she has sons. Her whole life has been dedicated to her sons. My grandmother dedicated her life to her children, and she has 3 sons and daughters. But a lot of these women, older women especially, who have sons, become incredibly upset when these feminists talk about men in that general sense, because they look at them and say, this is my child you're talking about. You're telling me my child is born an evil bastard because he just happens to be born a man, or especially if they're English or white, born a white man. So you're saying my son is damned for all time because he's born a white man in this world?
To be honest, to be fair, the whole men are evil thing, it crossed the racial lines as well. To be honest, now, like in general, most men are. They say they're saying now, in general terms, men are bad people and they need to be policed and all that.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the problem. This deep misandry, which is not acknowledged. And now you can say, okay, I can ignore the misandry of crazy purple-haired feminists on the internet. That's not going to bother me. And it's true. Most men, they're not really fazed by some crazy purple-haired fucking beach whale that's ranting on the internet.
It doesn't look appealing, does it? The purple hair.
Well, I don't know what these women are thinking. This is a large, mammoth grazing across the land, and she thinks she's going to be more attractive if she just happens to dye her hair a little bit more.
Do you think she's trying to reject the sexual marketplace?
They don't. This is the other thing as well. Yeah, they have no fucking chance on the sexual marketplace. I mean, they have a chance. There's always some gross man out there that will fuck them. And believe me, I've been that gross man in my time. There have been times I've had sex with women that I have been fully ashamed of myself. My dick rejected me and wanted divorce papers signed after I had that sexual encounter. So yes, I've been low. And I've gone with women that I would, and this is me, by the way. And you've seen what I look like. It's not like I'm talking about, I'm some guy walking around looking like Brad Pitt here, talking about how I should deserve so many better looking women. But we all have our standards. We all have our top 10 list. You know what I mean? How men rate women out of 10. We all have our top 10 list, and we all know which women fall into that 2s and 3 categories. And we never technically ever go there, but nevertheless.
Do you know what? Yeah, what I've noticed as well, there's that movement. Like I think for the last 5 years, something like that. There's that movement called dad bod or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Which is a bit mad though. I remember like 10 years ago there wasn't any movement like that. But I think it's a way for men who are not very muscular looking to feel good about themselves and all that.
Maybe.
It's in a way it's a bit. It's a bit. It has feminine energy attached to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that dad bod thing came about maybe because maybe as a reaction to the fact that all these fat feminists are complaining about how they're being fat shamed and that they should be attract men of high caliber. I'm talking top 1% of men are supposed to find these sand whales attractive, and they happen. I mean,
some fat women are attractive. Like,
no, I know, but what I mean is the ones who complain that they should be, that top 1% men should be attracted to them, and why they're not, because they think this because the world is fat shaming them. Nothing to do with genetics, nothing to do with literally millions of years of evolution and what we find attractive in women, symmetry, or in people in general. People who are symmetrical.
I mean, to be fair, we do find, some men do find the idea that, a woman, for instance, that, that has, a bit of curves and all that, to be a bit attractive.
I'm sorry, I missed that last bit. What was the last bit?
The idea of a woman having curves and all that, to be attractive.
Dude.
Also, women who have curves are more likely to have like an easy pregnancy as well.
Look, number one, there is a man out there for every shape and size woman. I promise you that, because all you have to do is look at the porn industry and look at the different categories of porn that's available. I don't think there is a category of woman that exists on this planet that there isn't a porn category for. That there isn't a collection of men who will.
I was shocked in terms of this SSBW, BBW. That was just massive. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I remember, like, it was 10 years ago. No one would ever dream to do that.
There's a lot of
now
chubby
you have,
chasers out there.
people actually getting higher.
No, but the thing is, men have been attracted to fat women, Middle Eastern men especially Arab men. They love chunky women. They don't like skinny women. I think a lot of black men do as well. A lot of African black men love a woman with a bit of meat on them. But of course, you see, there's a bit of meat. Then there is that TV show, which I don't know if you've seen it, but I've been started watching it, called My 600-Pound Life. Okay, these are women and men who weigh half a ton. Half a ton. There's a line to be drawn. There's a little curvy, then there's my 600-pound fucking life. Nobody wants that. And yet, believe it or not, the men and women in that show, all of them have girlfriends, wives, husbands. Hello, who's this? Reactor?
It's Raj.
Oh, is that Raj? Oh, Raj in it. Sorry, I couldn't see the writing. How are you, Raj? Big up, Raj.
Yeah, I saw the
Raj, your mic, your cam is on, by the way. I don't know if you are aware. You want that? You don't want that?
No, I don't want it. I always have it covered anyway. So how do I turn it off? All right.
Yeah, there's options there to turn it off. Good man. Okay, because you weren't on the show. I changed the screen so that you weren't actually being seen by anyone.
Yeah, it's fine anyway. I always have my camera covered anyway.
Big up, Raj. So, Raj, right now we are officially discussing like relationships and stuff, but the side subject or the main subject is about the feminists in Ukraine. But as far as being a man going his own way, knowing that you are a man who's been going his own way for some time now, whether by choice or without choice, but
thank you for that compliment.
I don't know
whether to take that as a diss or a freaking. I don't take it.
I'm just saying that you as a man.
Yes, you're voluntarily going your own way. Or is it involuntary? I don't know. Well, either way, you're by yourself, Raj. Yes. Okay. Right.
Exactly. So you're a single man in the modern world. Have you? Because you come from a similar culture to mine. I think, Yunus, are you Indian, Asian, or Turkish?
You saw him before, man. Come on.
He's Somali. He's been at speaking.
Somali. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
The skinny guy now.
You met him loads of times.
Yeah, I know, but my brain is like Swiss cheese, man. I barely remember my name. Okay.
Well, it's a sign to mention.
So you're Somali. So you're from East Africa.
Originally, yeah.
Raj is. But yeah, I mean, but you guys are all in. I feel that we're all in the same boat, because we're all from entirely different cultures, but we've all been raised in Britain, so we are culturally British to some extent. So we're caught in that middle way of
British Punjabi Sikh.
Exactly. So we've all caught in that middle sort of no man's land of, we're not this way, but we're not that way. We're not 100% British English, but we're not also really 100% of our own culture as well. So Raj, Punjabi, Sikh, and you from Somalia, me from Iran, we are these children of this sort of no man's land zone.
Yeah, I got like a weird kind of, like, at home I speak Punjabi and I'm like a Punjabi, and when I go out I'm British, yeah, so
But
it's
also
like a
you've
weird
got-
thing.
You know what?
Like,
Yeah,
got
I actually
microcosm
speak
at
English
home.
when I'm at home.
Yeah,
when
I
I'm out,
used
like-
to. Then I forced myself like a couple of years ago. That I'm gonna just speak.
but it's not
Punjabi
just
to
to the
practice, so, yeah.
language. It's
My
to
mum
do
can
with-
understand English though.
Yeah,
So
but it's not. I think it goes deeper than just the language. It goes to your culture, your family, trying to get
Yeah,
you married at a
foods,
certain
everything,
time.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Relations and children and how to raise your children. I think these things play a part in your home life because my mum, to this very day, is still on my case. I mean, she's literally.
yeah,
trying
but
to
I
hook
mean,
me
I
up
thought
on
this is about
Sunday.
the Ukraine. Like, how has it gotten to this? Like, I saw some
Well,
big mama jammers on the thingy and Ukraine. And I was like, all right, that
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah, I
like a good.
saw, I saw
good
like
topic.
a heavy set female.
Yeah,
And
I was like, all right, this
16
looks good.
females,
And now
man.
we've come on in. It's a depressing talk about
Sorry,
how we're all
sorry.
single
But
with
I
no
mean,
kids.
what I was, I mean, the whole thing, the whole thing does link in the sense that because of feminism, the whole thing is about where are the feminists in the trenches with the Ukrainian men, because the article that I posted, which I can post again for everyone who maybe missed my Banksy's quickies, is there's an article that says literally men Ukrainian males aged 18 to 60 are banned from leaving the country. Zelensky
Yeah, but
says in a new declaration. Where are the women? How come
All right,
women
so Banksy, we know
not being
the
banned?
hypocrisy of this here. When it comes to war, the Titanic sinking, anything, we have to stay on and die. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. Yeah, there's no options. It doesn't matter if you don't want to.
I'm
The women and men
sorry.
have. The women and
sorry, I'm
children
not
have to
having
go.
I'm not
No, but
having
I'm
that.
saying that that was the norm in the
What if you
past.
identify? What if you
No,
identify
hold
as
on, hold
women?
on. In the norm in the past, that kind of idea did work because women had their place and men had. I'm not saying I want women in the kitchen. Big up to Angel Moon out there, and everybody. But it's like the women want their cake and eat it. Now, if you want to eat your cake as well as eat it, you better start fighting in the wars. And I want to get on the dinghy boat when
Precisely.
the Titanic's going down.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm.
Otherwise,
I can
otherwise, act
float.
like a woman, and I'll be the man in the situation. We'll die in that situation. innit?
That is well. That's exactly. That's where the point
I mean,
is.
to be honest, there are some women that are fighting as well in Ukraine.
Yeah, there is. I mean, yeah, but if you're looking at I understand where Banks is coming from. We're going to be called misogynist, but it's kind of annoying in the West. At least in different parts of the world, there's still that kind of okay, men fight and provide, and women, basically, look after the family, maybe work and look after their children and stuff like that. And that kind of structure in the West is now kind of like being deteriorated. And if you want to get to that point, then you might as well pick up the rifle and die in the war, innit?
Well, all I'm saying is, how is it that the ban is only on the men and not on the women? Because yeah, fine, there are probably women out there. I've seen a picture of a woman soldier as well, and I can say fair good on her. But the ban isn't on women between ages of 18 to 60. It's only the men.
they'll use the let's just say, because I can't look. I'm not saying I disagree with it, but I do think that women are best to look after the children and the men fight. But in this scenario in the West where women now believe they're strong as men, and I'm not saying all women, some women think they can do exactly what another man can do, and they're basically 100% the same. The only thing that is differential is that they're physically really different. Then you might as well once that comes over, jump in front of it.
Even saying that, even stating that that example, that's seen as controversial in this day and age.
No, but this is where things get stupid. I've been having this conversation on the other channel, I don't want to say the channel, but I was saying, look, there's such a thing as extreme conservatism, which is bad, and extreme liberalism. Like, we are different. That's the reason why when the two join together, that it's a good combination, isn't it?
Hello, Mr. Vin. Who is Vin? Hello there.
Hi, Banksy. Nice to speak to you.
Is this the guy who came on last time pretending to be a guy called Banksy, or?
No, not at all. I'm just I'm an avid follower.
I don't know. It sounds so familiar, guys. Do you write Vin? You're not Vinny Vinny.
No, it's not Vinny. It's not Vinny Sullivan. No.
All right. Well, welcome. Okay. Let's. Sorry, Raj. Did you finish what you had to say, or?
Yeah, I mean, but are you going to be going on to Ukraine, or is this going to be about kind of like?
Well, I mean, as I said, this is all encompassing. So we've got Ukraine, we've got feminism, Now the conversation with me and Eunice went to feminism because we were just discussing relationships, but we can bring it back. It's a free flow thing. We don't have anything specific. Vin, you do have some annoying background noises. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's because I'm a modern man and I'm cooking my own food. So apologies for that.
Well done.
Oh, the downfall of the West, man cooking his own food. How dare you? No wonder you're freaking the West is dying, man. Where are the women out there, man? Cook that food. Cook that food.
I'm not gonna lie though, cooking is actually fun.
Yeah,
No, obviously I'm joking a bit, but there is such a thing as like traditional male-female kind of roles.
Well,
And,
yeah,
you know,
I do believe them. I do believe that both women and men have their strengths and weaknesses. And what I believe the feminism has done is eroded the difference, or tried to erode the difference between the two. But when times of conflict and bloodshed actually arrives, it's funny enough, everything goes back to the status quo, and I think that's just completely ironic. And like Banksy said earlier on, where are the feminists now?
I was watching a
I mean, to be
documentary
fair,
about.
to be fair, I think Ukraine is, it's a traditional country, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I was watching a documentary about World War II, and there was a woman whose husband cowered out of the war, and she got into a tank, and then she started fighting. Now that was so unusual that she was made some kind of poster girl. I forgot what her name was, and they were parading around like, this is like the greatest thing, because women traditionally, do not participate in wars like traditionally. That's just not the way it is. And
to be honest, if I was the guy, I'd probably feel emasculated.
I don't mind women fighting. I think, look, if you're gonna have street to street fighting, and you're still in the city, you better get that gun out and start fighting, isn't it? But when it comes to going into the front line of a war where you're conscripted in, they'll conscript men. They don't conscript women.
Exactly.
This
is what I'm saying. They banned men from leaving Ukraine, not women. Also, another part of this, which I also mentioned in my Banksy's Quickie earlier on, how about if you don't identify as a man? How about if you identify as a non-binary, genderqueer?
Well, that's not going to stand.
Well, they can pick up landmines.
Well, no. I mean, should you be banned? I mean, if a man doesn't identify as a man, identifies as
but they have both.
So
transgender. No offense, they have the best. They can be very kind of petite in terms of the way they hold things, so they can pick up landmines, isn't it?
They can.
Obviously, I'm joking. Before everyone says I'm trying to kill transgenders.
To be honest, I don't think it will be accepted in Ukraine. To be honest, because I remember one guy telling me that when he went to like Eastern Europe, or like certain Asian countries and all that, and he talks about toxic masculinity, the women there will probably give him a side eye and all that.
Yeah, that shit doesn't exist in those countries. Doesn't exist. Does not exist.
So I don't think a man would he wouldn't get let off for identifying as a woman.
Interesting.
I don't think so.
That's very, very interesting. So you're saying that toxic masculinity doesn't actually exist in Ukraine?
I wouldn't imagine so.
No, he didn't say that. He's saying that in that area, that doesn't even compute. It's like a complete no-no. To even say the word means that you're not a man. Like, it's like that. Like, the women don't even think like that. They know their roles, isn't it? Like, the men are men, the women are women.
Really, these people are just bigoted bastards, and we should go over there with a bunch of feminists and change them.
In the East, it's a very different mentality, isn't it? Like in Eastern Europe, they've still got quite traditional kind of structure.
The thing is, the central for me, the central thought is, where are we going in the West? Why is this such a hot button topic, and why is it that Dave Chappelle has to be cancelled and his entire career should be destroyed because he says that when there is a genetic difference between men and women, and no matter how much bits of yourself you chop up, you can never be the other gender. It matters what you are born as. It's in every fiber.
I mean, you can see in the MMA fighting, there's a man. I'm not going to go over to whether look. The way I see it is, if they chop their bits off and then they get the operation, then I will classify them as a woman, and I'll say, but they can't then start participating in female sports though, because they're always going to have the bone mass and the body of a man up to a point.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have an advantage in a lot of sports.
Well, I mean, right now there's a swimmer in in America that is absolutely crushing every swimming record that they've had in their sort of on a local level, on like a national level. I don't know if she's been allowed to go to the Olympics or what, but she's just crushing all the female records when it comes to the swimming records, the speed, the time, all of that crap. She's
See,
just
one way to stop
destroying it.
feminism, kind of like feminazis, because I think feminism is different, is like start getting a law where when there's a war, women have to be forced to be conscripted as well. Trust me, they'll become very feminine very quick. Start
Interesting.
cooking, being in the kitchen, grooming. Like, they'll stop. I'm telling you.
We've got a new person on the panel called Mandem. Which, is that Ralph?
Yeah, I could tell from the name. I was like, all right, he's doing the man.
I thought actually it was another friend of mine, but it's actually.
How's it going, Ralph, my young man?
He's part of the East End man, isn't it?
The man.
Oh, the East End man.
The Mandem's here. The Mandem.
Yunus, hey, salam alaikum.
Right.
Salam alaikum.
Alaikum to me.
What?
Did you say salam alaikum to me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have got Tajik and Afghan and
You know what? Yeah, you could say hi to me in it. Like, you don't have to say salam alaikum in it. You know what I mean?
Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
But you know, the whole thing's interesting, isn't it? On one hand, it's like you've got to contrast the two things between sex realism and race realism, isn't it? On one hand, there are people going, men, women, but the same thing applies to ethnicity and race as well, doesn't it?
This is actually. I was actually thinking about
one without the other.
Your take on this, Ralph. It's quite good that you jumped on, because I was listening to the Tim Pool podcast just earlier on before I started the stream, and they are literally saying a lot of the things in line with your NRX, and they haven't called it the cathedral yet. The word cathedral hasn't entered their lexicon yet. People like Lawrence Southern and Tim Pool and those kind of gangs. I hope you know who I'm talking about when I mention these names, but anyway.
No, I know who they all are quite well.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
They're actually going to be the vanguard, so by the time they catch up with that, we're already looking post the cathedral reset. So it eventually gets to the mainstream, doesn't it? Got to Tucker, right? So Tucker now speaks about it.
Yes.
Now, are you trying to kind of say that the fact that I'm saying that men and women are different biologically, you're going to then kind of like transfer that same kind of like criteria over to races, basically, that the races are
it's not the racist
as well.
Well, you
aspect.
can't have the same DNA, Raj, codes for men and women that codes for races. You can't say they only code differently for men and women, but don't code differently for races.
But you're going from intelligence, though. I mean, I think physically we can see that certain races have different. Let's just say
I didn't
positives.
say intelligence, just physically. Yeah. Curly hair.
I mean, physically. I've never argued there's no race. That's mad as well. Saying there's no race is the same as saying that there's no sexes, different sexes.
So you agree that differences, and so the same differences you see between men and women that are biological will also play between ethnicities, right?
Yeah, but I don't believe in the kind of like fixed IQ of a race. I think
IQ for a second. It could be anything else, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at people from the Himalayas, they can have a larger lung capacity, so they can walk up these hills and stuff. If you're looking at runners and stuff like you see people from Ethiopia and certain other areas, they can run faster and longer because I think something to do with their hip
so let me understand
ratio.
this. You're saying all the biology is different all the way until it hits the brain and then magically becomes equal again, right?
No, I'm saying that the brain, I think, can be. Let's just say you can increase height. You can increase your IQ over generations, and we've seen that with different communities, like the Indian community in the UK. The average IQ in India is around 80, and in the UK it's 105 on average.
But dumb Indians are very dumb, yeah, of course we know, but very clever Indians are very clever.
One thing I just wanted to quickly read out before we get too far off the topic. Ralph, Bunga Bunga claims that right now we're currently in your phase of 429 phase of your master plan to whitewash the West. He is right on track for the year 3429.
B429.
Bunga bunga is just way more bunga.
No, but you have to look. Intelligent people think.
Two bungas and three bungas.
No, can I say something? The bunga bunga. This is depends, and this is depends of real. Intelligent people think long term. Yeah, obviously thinking that hundreds of thousands of years in the future is going to be problematic. But yeah, maybe a couple of like 100 years.
No, that's actually that's a
5-year plan.
Even you can see genetic studies that show that the difference between long-term planning and time planning is called time-to-weight preference is actually genetic.
I don't know, but I know that's important in terms of building communities.
It's
like saying that
waited a lot longer.
The person, it's like saying the person that the man that plants the seed may never see the fruition of the tree, but his descendants will. Yeah.
There's a long thing, but just basic genetic studies show that northern people, Japanese, Inuits, all of them have a better time-to-weight preference than the southern people because of resource scarcity. Right? They had to wait. There was less food. They had to hunt patiently.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of agree to that. I think if you have a society where you have to plan forwards, like in a cold climate, where you have to think about, okay, if I don't save my food for the winter, we're gonna all die. You're gonna wipe out all the dumb people pretty quick, aren't you? The people that are impatient are going to eat all the stuff, and the smart ones are going to survive. And if you're
that's what happened, isn't it? Those things were translated generation to generation using genes.
Yeah, but my argument isn't that there isn't difference in IQs between different population groups as of today. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I don't think it's fixed. I think IQ can be raised.
But a rising tide will lift all boats.
I mean, the reason. So, have you read the kind of description of Germanic people by Julius Caesar in like the 2,000 years ago? Have you heard how he spoke about them at the time?
At the time, the Germanic people were considered, because the Germans were really famous for resisting and rejecting. The only European tribe that really rejected Pax Romana.
But they saw them as. But even though they saw them as ferocious, they spoke about them and they said. Julius said they used to run around naked, in kind of cloths, barefoot, and they were basically savages. Yeah, so they could have respected them for their military prowess, but they did consider them to be barbarians.
I think it wasn't the military prowess. They came and they kept beating the Romans. The fact that they were so fiercely resistant to accepting the idea of Pax Romana, they weren't interested. They didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, but their civilization wasn't that advanced at the time. I mean, Rome.
You could argue that because they did that Rome is dead and Germany has the peak European civilization.
Yeah, but you can see from the way the Germans are described then to who they are now. I mean, when you think of Germans now, you think of technology, you think of efficiency, you think of a prosperous nation.
Peak European culture.
We don't. I mean, how do you know that in 500 years' time, a country that you consider to be low IQ and backwards might then be one of the most prosperous countries in the world and with the highest IQ?
You can only live in hope, eh, Raj?
yeah, we can.
But right now, that's not what it looks like. I don't think there's going to be a great intellectual revolution coming from sub-Saharan Africa anytime soon.
Wow.
I mean, when you look at IQ and all that, I think it depends on the environment that person's being brought up in as well.
Nutrition as well.
It totally does. You take a poor, smart Nigerian kid and you raise him in California around Caltech, he's going to be as smart as he can be. Leave him in a poor village looking to fish or trying to get food to feed himself, he's not going to expand his brain. But the problem is not that. The problem is like for like what happens. Just with men and women, to get back to Banksy's topic, the same thing applies for men and for women, right? It doesn't matter how much hormone therapy replacement, how much continuous spectrum of genders. Ultimately, you're either man or you're not. Right? Yeah.
He's ruined that conversation, hasn't he?
Well, no, but I mean, the thing is that I think these are fundamentals, and this is my issue has been that now that we're going into very more, ever increasing uncertain times, and with Russia and China making their moves for potentially world hegemony, or certainly taking some of the shine. Yes, it's the resources, but also some of the shine of America's superior position.
Last 12-15 months, Banksy, calling that things are going to keep accelerating more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I was thinking about it, I thought Ralph and them must be loving this, because this will accelerate. I mean, I can imagine the far right loving this, because you have Russia there, Russia on
God
the
bless
border.
Putin.
And now what's going to happen? You're going to have all these freaking neo-Nazis, militias training in that area. I guarantee you're going to go to just to train, and they're going to come back freaking die-hard militaristic.
It's accelerating.
trained.
Something has happened, Raj. I mean, ultimately, like we said, this
And the far right will grow in the West if they take. So
It is growing.
Because like Putin's history is like crazy. I mean, he's a KGB officer in East Germany. Then he's basically
Everywhere, Raj, not just KGB. Look at what happened in the U.S. Capitol in the United States.
Well,
Who would have
happened
thought
to the people that did it, though?
ago that the Capitol would be stormed? And if you look at Nick Fuentes, who's been kicked off every platform, he has record audiences. So across the world, the right are rising up. And what are we rising up and fighting against? Global homo liberalism.
Well, I mean, to be honest, yeah, I think the US Capitol riot was insane, to be honest. Like, how I see it, I see a group of people that can't accept,
Hello?
No, Putin wants to basically recreate a kind of like, Soviet empire. And he's still a communist. He just can't. He just can't implement communism.
Russian interests. He's not going to expand it beyond the old Russian border region. And obviously, the West are pissing. But the battle isn't even regional. The battle is global. It's really the World Economic Forum, global homo liberalism, and with that comes all the trans and the people who are conservatives.
I mean, I did hear one of the. Although I strongly disagree with the invasion of Ukraine, I did hear one of the ministers saying, "Well, you invaded Iraq," and it's kind of like it is a bit hypocritical that they're complaining about invading a sovereign country, and then they go into Iraq as well. I disagree with the Iraq war myself personally, but it's just a bit.
Well, I mean, only if I don't know, yesterday or somewhere, where our little friend, the little chubby hippo, she made a video in regards to the hypocrisy of the West and the fact that they're calling the fighters in Palestine terrorists whilst they're arming the fighters in Ukraine. But it wasn't even that. It was the fact that she showed a video. Oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the hippo in
Are you agreeing with her then?
is Zubaydah Al Arabiya.
Are you agreeing with her?
No, I'm not at all. Because I see them as entirely different situations. But she was showing videos of African students trying to get into Poland and the Polish rejecting them, and complaining about, look, they let the refugees from Ukraine go in, but they don't let African students go. He said, yes, because all the men in Ukraine are not allowed to leave Ukraine.
Yeah,
why should the Polish allow the male Africans?
No. Can I just before you go on, Ralph? So there's 18,000. One minute, Ralph. There's 18,000 Indians in Ukraine studying, and they're studying medical degrees. Now the reason they've gone there is because in India it costs around £8,000 to get a degree. In Ukraine is 4,000, so they've gone over there. But they're not Ukrainian citizens at the moment.
Is a Nigerian or Indian? Is there such a thing as a Nigerian Ukrainian?
Well, if they decide to live there and settle down, then yeah.
So the Poles are going, here come the Ukrainians. Who's the Nigerian guy? He's like, hey, I'm Ukrainian. The Poles are like, based, like, you're really not.
No, I think you have to be Ukrainian citizen to be able to.
It's not just that. It's not just that.
Nigerian Ukrainian. What does that even mean?
Well, it's not just that. I mean, why is Poland now, because they are allowing Ukrainian refugees to go into Poland? What does that mean about why is all of a sudden Poland obligated to go and take in refugees of other people from other countries?
Well, the EU have agreed as a collection, and that's because they share a border and a boundary, right? It's the most logical place for them to go.
No, I agree with the Ukrainians, but why is it suddenly hypocritical if they're not taking on Africans and Indians and Iranians and Syrians?
It's not hypocritical. It's just real, isn't it? They're saying that guy is not Lithuanian.
Ukrainian.
Ukrainian. He's just saying he's not Ukrainian, and the Poles are just saying it as it is.
No, from my understanding, is that you have to be a citizen of the country to see.
Only in the liberal West.
Am I wrong about that? So I know the Indians mainly are studying.
To be honest,
they want study visas.
Yeah, but that's just a liberal Western
those
perspective,
parts
right?
of the world, it's very
So you're saying it's more kind of like a raw kind of emotional reaction with AC.
It's not raw emotion; it's just a real reaction.
Yeah. So when they see these people, they don't identify them as anything apart from foreign.
Because the Indian guy and the Nigerian guy are not Ukrainians. The idea is, I mean, at what point does the penny drop that the idea is insane?
Well, that's exactly my thing. Is like Poland isn't obligated to take in refugees from everywhere in the world.
I saw 3 Pakistani guys standing in the queue with a bunch of blonde Ukrainians, and the image was fantastic. You look at them and go, those guys clearly look Pakistani. How that? No, the Poles Remainers going to go, yeah, let the Ukrainians, who are the 3 Pakistani guys?
Yeah, but
hey, I've got a Ukrainian passport. They're like, get the fuck out of here.
But it's not just that. Okay, if they were Ukrainian citizens and they have Ukrainian passports, that's fine. But the thing is, if they're men, if they're men, they're not allowed to leave Ukraine anyway between 18 and 60.
Unless they are not Ukrainian nationals.
They're not Ukrainian nationals.
And if that's the case, then Poland still has no obligation to take them.
No, I've researched because I was shocked about how many Indian students were there. Because I've been watching a lot of Indian news, and it's just 18,000. It's just because of the cost of their, and most of them are medical students.
Yeah, but those guys should have started to prepare to leave the country before now. If they're still in the country, then that's shit out of luck. Yeah. But Poland isn't going to take them in. Poland has no obligation to them. And I
have to say that this really makes Europe look really weak, though. Yeah, like Europe. This is the problem. Europe is weak in a lot of sense, and it's shown through this.
Exactly.
How weak they really are. Because with Russia, they don't care. Like, you know, they're gonna just if they come back with like 1,000 dead Russian soldiers, they don't give a shit. Like, well, I'm talking about Putin. I'm not talking about the people on the ground. But America will start crying if there's like 10 American soldiers die. Yeah, they'll have to pull out.
Well,
yeah, but this I think there's a crisis. No one was crying, were they, in the West? No one is crying at the 14,000 dead. It's only when
the previous Ukrainian invasion.
It's just it's crocodile tears. Who believes the global homo liberal West, man? People are waking up everywhere around the world. And after the Great Reset, people are waking up realizing they've been lied to. And now all bets are off, aren't they? Because, you know, it's just, we know they lied to us. They've lied to everything. The question is, are you willing to accept the truth? Are you willing to go Banksy style, fully to the truth or not?
I did research. I did research your claim that the Ukrainian army or Ukraine is infested with freaking neo-Nazis and all that kind of stuff, which is what Putin's saying now. I don't think Ukraine is infested. What was shocking is I did speak to somebody on another panel. I said, look, there's a Ukrainian battalion which is a neo-Nazi battalion. Yeah, and once you're a battalion, you're recognized by the country, aren't you? I mean, you're not just some offshoot militia. And I said, I don't care if there's only one of them, but if it's a battalion that openly is neo-Nazi, that's a massive problem.
Well, not really a massive problem, because there are tons of support from very right-wing people all across Eastern Europe. Now it's time to fight. You're not going to get the liberal Sivnat types to do the fighting, are you?
Where's Antifa?
Yes, you will.
But the thing is, these are literally Nazi battalions, and there isn't a single anti-fascist Antifa in Ukraine screaming about "let's punch a Nazi." Well,
once the fighting starts, those lefty limp-wristed little bitches are in the background. Go, defend us. You understand? They don't want to do the dirty work, yeah, and they'll rather them go forwards. And this is the problem. You know, whenever I think about these guys, they want to fight in it. These limp-wristed little lefties, they're gonna hide in their rooms.
Yes, my point exactly. When I did a
stream, I mean, to be honest, those neo-Nazis guys, they're probably low IQ people, and
this is why I did a stream a few days ago called "There Are No Men Left in the West." Why? Because if you parse out the homosexual LGBTs, you parse out the non-binaries and the trans testicles, and you parse out all the little bitch ass liberals, what are you left with? When you boil down the West, what are you left with? There is going to be a handful of men who are still men, who have their balls in between their legs and are able to pick up a rifle.
The wind is coming our way, Banks.
I was having a conversation with my nephew, and he's a vegan, isn't he? But he wants to no, but listen, he wants to do hunting, real life hunting on animals, to get prepared for like how to kill an animal. Because with Sikhs here, if the shit hits the fan, I'll eat whatever I have to do to eat to survive, innit? Like, I'm not going to. And if I have to hunt an animal to practice how to blow someone's head off, I do it. No, but the thing is that concept here is not.
Raj, have you ever been hunting, man? Have you ever?
No. I mean, I wouldn't really want to do it. I mean, one of the things that when you're training, yeah, one of the things that Sikhs have kind of realized is that you can shoot at a static target all you want. Yeah, but at some point you've got to start shooting moving targets. So we do have a kind of thing that, you know, you can hunt animals. in order to practice.
No,
so
the
that's what
difference
my
is when
nephew
someone
wants
is
to do.
shooting back at you.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the next level, isn't it? Like,
The animals don't get to shoot back, right?
No, but he was talking. He's a vegan. He said he wants to do a thingy where he can hunt an animal and then skin
He sounds
it
very
and eat it.
confused.
Yeah, skin it and eat it. I was like, all right, yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
there's an expression from a movie called Enter the Dragon: "Boards don't hit back."
Exactly.
Oh,
I just saw the news. Did you see they just blew up the Ukrainian TV tower? Right. So if you get back to Ukraine, what's going to happen? I made the claim. Here's my claim: if you want the most amount of peace, and the quickest thing is Ukrainians need to surrender now and fast, because they're coming and they're going to find that fucking comedian, liberal, little president, and either he's going to do what the Afghani guy did and ran with the global homo liberals on a plane, or he's going to have a chat with Boris and the rest of the Russians. That's what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, but you do know that if Russia was to kill that particular, get hold of him and kill, you know how much blowback they'll probably get. I don't think,
you can't compete in the game, so like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that unfortunately, Ukraine isn't part of the EU, which was. They wanted to be part of the EU, but it was that freaking.
But actually, on the application,
hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. That's a good thing, isn't it?
So what is good times then?
I've been putting this chart up, or this message up several times. It's not the first time, but I just want us to just some of us to reflect on where are we on this scale right now. Where are we on this scale? And I know, Eunice, you don't recognize the good times. The good times have been since around the 1950s until now. Very good times. You may not recognize.
There's been no fighting. There's been no threat to your violence. You can walk around and speak shit all day, and you haven't been beaten up for it.
If you lived in a first world nation,
not touched, not even a hair on our body touched.
Yeah, if you've lived in a first world nation or an advanced nation since the 1950s, you have literally lived in the best possible time of mankind, of recorded history for most humans ever. Because we have literally the most amount of food, medicine, on every metric, life expectancy, child mortality rates, all of those scales. They are.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get a real kind of like wake up call, like I was there was a documentary about Victorian London. Victorian London sounding like freaking hell. I mean, there was shit everywhere from horses. There was freaking there was no welfare state. There was nothing. I mean, children were working as young as 6. Like, it wasn't a joke. I mean, we think about it now, like that's impossible. Right? But it was basically the UK was like a third world. Like what you'd see as a third world now is what UK was at the time. But they managed to pull themselves out of that rut. Yeah. So we do have it the easiest now, no doubt.
People talk about the Victorian era. I was watching some, morning show like a few years back about some little woman who felt she kept dressing up in these Victorian outfits, all those little big ass dresses and all the shit that they wore in the Victorian era, and she's like, I love the Victorian era. Everything about the Victorian era was awesome. It's so wonderful. Look at all the dresses and the gloves. I'm like, do you know how many people lived in indentured servitude during the Victorian era? Do you ever know what a cesspit is? Have you ever been to a cesspit? It's a giant fucking hole of shit.
Yeah, because in the 1900s or the mid 1800s, Parliament had so much freaking stench of poo that they had to close it down and try and figure out how to sort it out. And the roads are covered in horse shit because there was no cars in. So this kind of narrative, like Victorian London, only the 1% of the elite were living in some sort of luxury. Everybody else was living in misery up to a point by our standards.
Do you know that the concept? There's two things. One, they first commissioned Brunel, who built the London sewers, and they are still to this day some of the best sewers ever. He actually made these fucking things so well that they're still coping to the millions, literally tens of millions of people who live in London still have an amazing.
So they named the university after West London.
Exactly. Well, no, he was. They named the London after the university after him. But not only that, the whole thing in comedy where a guy slips on a banana. That was actually horse shit. That wasn't a banana. The banana was like replaced in movies for it, but it was actually shit.
Yeah, I mean
People
that's
stick
the
to
thing.
all
I mean,
the time.
people don't realize that, you know, like if you
Hey,
have
Banksy, I've got to bounce. I'll be back in a little bit, right?
Take
Sorry
care,
about that.
take care, Ralph.
yeah, I
Thank
mean the
you.
thing is, if you don't have cars and your main transport is horses, what do they produce? Manure. Yeah, they're going to be
Constantly.
shitting everywhere. So London was covered in shit. The roads were covered in shit.
But
And
this
so
is
this narrative of the Victorian age and all that, yeah, for 1%, they were probably living great. Everybody else is probably freaking, you know, miserable.
Well, this is the problem. This is the romantic view of the past that some people have, that like life was just so amazing back then. No, certain eras of history, life was horrific in most cases. It's really only since the 1950s, since the Second World War, and the affluent era that we've enjoyed, the Industrial Revolution.
So if you look at this Brunel that you said, this was a proposal to modernize the sewage system had been made in the early 1700s, but the cost of such a project deterred progress. Further proposals followed in 1856, but were again neglected due to cost. However, after the Great Stink, the Great Stink of 1858, Parliament released the urgency of the problem and resolved to create a modern sewer system.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't call something a Great Stink unless you know you're standing around.
Yes.
I was going to say something.
Literally standing in shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the fact that the Thames smelled so bad, and the Houses of Parliament happened to be next to the Thames. If Houses of Parliament was like, I don't know, where Buckingham Palace is, we'd still fucking have a shitty sewer system.
I thought it was in the same place though.
It's only because the aristocracy couldn't go there and freaking like, you know,
Yeah.
relax.
They couldn't
that they
stand
had
the
to
shit.
do it. Yeah, otherwise it'd still have
the
it.
sewer
I
system.
always thought House of Parliament was just north of, you know, Lower Marsh Road, literally.
No.
On the left side of Lower Marsh Road.
Oh, I need to go in like 5 minutes.
yeah,
So
I mean-
what's the whole kind of like what do you think about? I mean, Ralph's obviously taken it to a racial aspect, which obviously, you know, like,
Look,
you know,
the fact is, for me, this is a wake-up call and a realization of the huge downfall and the huge mistake of Western societies, Western first world societies, who've allowed this cancer of uber lefty, trans testicle, non-binary, all of that bollocks, all of that shit has now ruined the very thing that they need to save this civilization, and that is men.
I don't think this I don't think we've sleepwalked into this. I don't think this is by accident. This is by design. These corporations, these newspapers that have leftist biases, it's all to control men. For years, men have been told that they're toxic, they're not good enough, they're harmful, they're aggressive, and for so long, a lot of men.
That's the good parts.
And that's only good one. But it's a form of control. If you beat an animal down, or if you cage an animal and beat them down to the point where they don't want to even look at the sunlight anymore, and that's what they've done with men. Men, as you said earlier on, are weak and they're fragile, and they're more concerned about getting fake tans or being on Xbox for 8 hours a day. I play Xbox, but you know, that kind of stuff. And when it comes to the real time, where, you know, say if, you know, World War III did break out, we weren't.
What would
we be left with? There'll
You
be
know,
a bunch
the
of
conscripts, yeah. Well, like in the part with, like, when they had the conscript, people just knew, all right, this is the shit. What we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to fight. I bet most of them will probably run away or something like that.
100%. They'll either top themselves, run away, or get gender reassignment.
Yeah,
And
hopefully I'll be too old to be conscripted. So
No,
it's the youngsters that need to worry about it, man.
Well, we've been brainwashed by, you know, capitalism and purchasing and buying and being, like, you know, hooked into the internet, the metaverse, porn. Do you know what I mean? Like dopamine, just the full sense of gratification via, you know, the TV screens, phone screens, which have been conditioned and weak, and who profits from this?
And do you know who's going to be that have the most shock though? Is going to be these guys that play Battlefield and Call of Duty. When that real bullet comes freaking through your helmet to your brain, there's no
respawning.
There's no respawning. You're out, man.
Yeah,
Do you know the guys that, you know, that pay OnlyFans and all that?
Yep.
The subscription and all that. I just found it to be a bit sad though. Like I always think to myself, hold on a minute, you're spending about £10 a month
Yeah, but don't hate the thing is, look, they are sad. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game, innit? Like, if someone's gonna buy someone's dirty bathwater, then
but this is it, though. This is what I'm saying. They've made men so weak that they're too scared to approach a woman in public, because if I approach a woman in public, that's me being a male chauvinist. I should wait for the woman to come to me. They've kind of beaten that kind of attitude out of men.
Don't worry, dude, approach a woman. Hold on. Approach a woman. There are signs on the tube now. You should not look at a woman. Don't stare.
It's ridiculous.
You know what the great equalizer is going to be is a war. Like, once those freaking tanks start coming in, the women are going to suddenly be, oh, it's like cook for you. Okay, yeah, I'm putting as well. They're not going to want to go to war. They're going to go
They burned that bridge. It's like, don't get me wrong. There's tons of guys still on the blue pill, and they'll be like, yes, my queen, and I'll do it. But right now there are far too many, or I wish there were more men that are more on the red pill, the MGTOW. I'm not so keen on the black pill. I think that's a little bit too far. But it's pardon.
The black pill. What is the black pill?
It's
the black pill.
Very depressing and sort of nihilistic concept. It's just like they do go into misandry then, not misandry. Sorry, misogyny. They are like they're the angry MGTOWs. They're the
incels.
people who are well. They're not necessarily. Well, I mean, you could say there could be incels too, because these categories are fluid. But a lot of black pilled MGTOWs are constantly shitting on women and like, oh, they're terrible, they do this. Like, dude, your own mother is a fucking woman. Is your mom shitting on you all the time?
But the thing is, this is not women's fault. It's the men's fault with becoming weak. Once you become a weak man, then your women are gonna dominate you. And that's the thing, though. The women are just doing what is being presented to them.
I will say there is.
At the end of the day, yeah, the woman has probably the greatest power out of everybody, which is to be able to give birth. Yeah, over everything. Yeah, not men can't do that. Obviously, we contribute, but it's the woman that's going to have to do it. So, yeah, I mean, like, look, you shouldn't hate women over it, but the thing is, you should hate the fact that women now think they're men. Yeah, and men think they're basically women. I'm not talking about transgenders. I'm talking about the role reversal. That is not good for society. It's going to be cause the destruction of a civilization if you go down that route. And no, it's not incel hour, you puddy. That if it was, you'd be on it. You'd be on it, wouldn't you? If it was incel hour, Downs, you'd be on it, you little freaking football. You'd be hosting, yeah. You'd be with your camera, with your fat face, big beer belly, yeah, and a sex toy up your ass, and a sex doll flicking you out, huh? From your backside, you little bitch.
Damn.
See you,
Ross doesn't hold any.
You know what? What's wrong with the guys in the UK? Want to fight for Ukraine or it's a bit mad.
It's always the case. People want to go over. I mean, it is a bit hypocritical when you think about it, because when people went over to Syria and stuff, like if I'm not talking about fighting for ISIS against, they were labelled as kind of like terrorists, and it is a bit okay. All right, so this is another war where you've got a tyrant. Well, with somebody who's deemed to be a tyrant coming in, and when they go, they're seen as heroes. I can kind of see the hypocrisy in there. And I'm not talking about fighting for ISIS. I'm talking about if you went there because you felt like you was fighting against a tyrannical regime like the Assad regime and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that's what they think. What do you think about it, though, Banksy? Do you think there's a hypocrisy there?
Well, when it comes to the way they're treating like Assad and Ukraine.
No, in the way that they treat people that are saying they're going over to fight. So at the moment, people that are trying to go over to fight against Russia, they're seen as heroes, whereas people that might have saw Assad as being a criminal and went over to Syria not to fight for ISIS but to fight against him were seen as terrorists. I mean, is there?
Well, the thing is, because in that region, because I mean, you see, number one, this is the simplest thing really. Everyone who goes to Ukraine to fight against the Russians are not going to be particularly welcomed in Russia. So let's not think that this is just one-sided. If you're a Russian that goes to Ukraine and fights against the Russians, yeah, you're gonna face the same shit as Shamima Bingham did against for Britain. So you're literally it's just the opposite side of the coin.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, that's two different things. Though. Shamim Begum and the people that are going to Ukraine to fight for the Ukrainian people are two different things, are two different situations and all that.
Well,
I agree, but I can
one's
also
for humanitarian reason, and the other one is just for criminality.
Yeah, but
but that's the thing you're saying. This is the thing, yeah. Like I kind of agree. But all I'm saying is I can also see the other side, like looking at it, like, hold on a second. When we was, because I've heard people say they want to fight in Syria and stuff, and I'm like, all right, what for? Like, to me, automatically seems that you want to go in there and behead people and think that maybe they genuinely wanted to fight against what they seem to be an oppressive regime. Like, we don't know. I don't know what was going through their heads.
But exactly, for the people who went and fought for ISIS, you got to realize.
Yeah, 100%. We know what
they were on the right. They thought they're going to fight for freedom and for the caliphate and to make the world a true Islamic caliph. So they didn't think that they were going against they were fighting. They were being the bad guys. Nobody thinks they're the bad guys. Everybody.
Hey, Banksy, get that little puddy down a little link here. First of all, I don't live in this world of I think I'm an incel, I'm not an incel. That's not my world, you little bitch. It's your world. Yeah, it's your hour. Come on here and defend your group.
Exactly. But either
Give
way,
me the link, man.
The link is there, dude. I posted it. It's pinned at the top. It's posted like several times in the chat. It's not my fault. It's on them.
These internet incels,
yeah,
coming on here attacking me.
I know.
Huh?
But
like, I don't claim to be from any of those groups. I don't hate women. I don't hate. I do think there's problems, but I'm not somebody that hates or blames women for everything. Whatever. Look, at the end of the day, whatever your place you're in your life is your own responsibility. Yeah. You can't even blame everybody else. I'm in my position because of the decision I made, not because of the decision that women made or my neighbor made or my family made. I made those decisions.
Yeah, but
I agree with that. But the problem, some of the problem is for people, for children, for instance. Say I don't know if you have any children, but say if you had children and you have these strong beliefs, but your children are being raised in these kind of hyper liberal kind of schools. Now, that's where the kind of problem arises, where you've got 4 hours, you've got influence over your child during the week, and you've got a few hours over the weekend. But these schools are kind of indoctrinating these children kind of these ideas that you don't agree with.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like I had this conversation the other day. They were talking about homosexuality, and for some reason they think I'm the spokesman for homosexuality because I have a gay friend called Simon, and I'm friends with Sophia Lewis. She's transgender, and I was like, look, I can still be friends with these people and disagree and say that I don't believe that homosexuality or transgenderism should be the norm taught to children. Yeah, that should be left for when they're older, and that the norm is a man and a woman. They're outliers in terms of what is traditional, and it doesn't mean I hate these people. They are considered to be friends. It's just that this situation now is that because I've seen some documentaries that there was a little boy or girl, I can't remember, and at 2 years old she said, I want to be a girl, I think I'm a girl, and they made her into a girl. It's like, it's crazy because at 2 you think you're anything, man.
Yeah, if you get a helicopter,
So this is where it gets silly, because you're then allowing children to dictate what they are now and what they want to be at such a young age. Kids should not know what being gay is or even being straight at a young age. They should just be left as kids, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree with that.
They shouldn't be thinking about it. Once you put that into their head, then they're going to start thinking about it. Now, I'm gay. I'm 7 years old. It's like, how do you know you're gay? When I was 7, I was freaking, I don't know, putting girls' pigtails and stuff. How do you know?
I never heard of that term. I've never heard of the term gay. Like when I was 7 years old as well.
No, it's not about not hearing about it, but you shouldn't be thinking about it. Your parents shouldn't be asking their children, "Are you gay?" Yeah, and I've seen it. Oh, do you? Why? Because at that age, you shouldn't even be thinking about the opposite sex or the same sex in that way. They're just children, aren't they? Let children be children. When they're older, if they become gay or whatever, or they are gay or whatever they're going to be, then fair enough. Like, what can you do? You have to accept it and move on. once you start instilling that seed into their head when they're like 6, 7 years old, because I've seen documentaries. Oh, do you think you're a boy? Are you a girl? They're asking children now, do you think you're a boy or a girl? Do you know that?
Guys, Angel Moon is with us, so welcome, Angel Moon. I hope you can
Oh,
hear
Angel
us and get in on this.
Here. The female contingent, the army is here.
There you go. There you go. We have a female voice amongst us, guys. All this misogynistic talk that we've been.
No. I feel bad now.
We've
Now
been
I'm
running
at the
our mouths on. Now
I'm at the backtrack,
let's have a lady correct us all. Oh, Angel Moon. I think Angel Moon has a difficulty getting to get. This
Angel
thing to
Moon
work.
let the side down of the women. She ran.
Well, no, she's got issues trying to get on this. Well,
that's the thing.
This
if
panel.
women can't get onto a live stream, how's she gonna fight?
Well, exactly.
No,
If a woman can't get on a panel on chatting shit on the internet, how's she gonna lock and load an M16?
This is a great example of the weakness of women. Like, we was in a war. If we was in a war and that little cartridge couldn't go into the gun,
there you go.
dead.
There you go. Angel Moon will take 16
I'm only
hours to
joking,
try
I'm
to
only
lock
joking,
and
I'm
load the AK-47, and then the whole battalion will be shot to death. So clearly, it's women are not. They have no place on the battlefield.
Yeah, and one of the things that makes women great parent mothers.
We're just joking.
Is their empathy and their compassion. Now, in a war, that has to go up to a point. Obviously, you don't want to be a savage where you're killing everyone. You got to take that out of your DNA. You got to take that out of yourself, and I think women will find that difficult.
Well, the funny thing is, it's not just women, men. I was watching, so I saw this. I mean, the guy said it on Tim Pool, but I don't know. I haven't checked the statistics exactly, but he says 90% or something like 80% of the killings on a battlefield are done by 2% of the men, because most men actually shoot above the target. They don't want to kill someone, so they don't actually shoot at the person that they're supposed to kill. So actually only a handful of men on the battlefield actually are the ones who are killing the rest of the soldiers. So yeah, apparently most soldiers don't want to kill, especially if they're being drafted. So they're civilians that have been drafted. They don't want to shoot at anyone. They don't want to kill anyone.
I mean, the thing is, and also when you're going into another country, you're the aggressor. The person that's defending will always have, or not always, but most of the time they'll have an added advantage. Not only because it's their land and they know the area, but also they're fighting for survival, aren't they? There's a difference. Like, you're fighting for something they love. People that have been drafted and just go over there. They don't. I mean, look, I heard that a lot of the Russian troops thought they were on training exercises.
Yeah, there is a report. At least there's a Russian soldier on his knees. He's been arrested, or at least actually they said that Russian soldiers, when they found out that they were actually attacking the Ukrainians, they themselves turned themselves in. Or at least these are the rumors. I'll be honest. There's so many things going around. You don't know what's real. But I saw a video.
Yeah, so don't worry, Angel Moon. It was a good experiment and on what we was talking about. I'm glad you turned up and kind of like, made what we were saying, not to be misogynistic. We've been proven right that, if women can't get onto live streams.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Angel Moon. I'll be honest, I really do want her to get on this, but I don't know what to do.
You need a woman to come in and kind of balance.
To be honest, though, I'm not gonna lie. Though, do you know what? Yeah, I like the part. Yeah, in regards to the Russian and Ukrainian conflict. The Russian army getting their ass kicked. I like watching that, to be honest.
They're not really.
Russia isn't really even doing anything at the moment. Do you know what they're doing? Is like lightly slapping Ukraine. Yeah. If they really want to go in, they're going to go in. Right now, there's a 30-mile convoy. The reason they're not going in that hard is because they want to keep the infrastructure. They don't want to lay Ukraine to waste because they want to win over the people. And so in reality, if they truly wanted to, and they might get to that point where they're like, okay, screw this. I'm telling you, it's not going to be pretty. And Ukraine.
I mean, do you know what? I was thinking to myself, the Ukrainian Air Force, there's hardly any jets.
Oh no, they've barely got. They've got no real air sort of power. No, they've got nothing. Their air force is totally, I think, decimated already. They already started, because initially the first attacks were all on the airports and all the air bases. So they've, I think, decimated their air force already. They have. This is why the Ukrainians were asking for a no-fly zone by NATO and the international community, so that it stops the Russians from attacking them. Because
I mean, if you look at the past of Ukraine, because I've been looking through like the history, I mean, Ukraine has gone through some brutal times here. But I don't think the problem with men nowadays, even Ukraine, I think, because of social media, any deaths here is like literally like the end of the world now. Yeah, in the past, people were dying in their millions to save their land, innit? And they just didn't give a shit up to a point. And so I don't think people have got the stomach for war in that sense. What do you think, Banksy? I don't think they've got the stomach for it.
People never have the stomach for war. War is not something most people want. It's something that's thrusted upon them.
No, but I'm talking about in the sense that in the past, you know, this narrative, okay, X amount of people have died, wasn't even it was just like people were just dying. Like, once people are coming into your country, you're going to fight. Because of social media, every little freaking thing, every little bomb blast, every little thing is being kind of reported.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's making
100%.
people very sensitive to what war is. Like, war is about blowing things up and killing people.
The thing is, they were saying, like, back in the Second World War, and well, there was barely any real photographs coming back from like the First World War. There was a bit more from the Second World War, and the one that was the most photographed at that time was the Vietnam War, because there was so much
little kid running.
Exactly, and a whole host of different photos coming out of it. Then we had the first Gulf War, which was quite well documented, if you like, and then the second Gulf War was even more documented. I mean, there were literally 24-hour news. By that time, we had 24-hour news, so we had literally reporters with the soldiers and all of that. But now, with social media, this is absolutely the most covered event ever, because every person, I mean, you got to realize, up until this war, there was no mobile phone cameras in wartime situations. You know, barely any of these things were available.
There was, I mean, they were very grainy if they were.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I'm talking about the 2000s and stuff like that. Like,
the 2000s. But again, this is the most, because every person living in Ukraine has a high definition mobile phone that they can literally send you the images.
Yeah, because I saw a video of them destroying a satellite tower for the news agencies. I'm like, that's what they're gonna do. That's what war is, isn't it? I mean, when I heard that it's gonna be a war, I was like, all right, I'm expecting explosions and death. But for some reason, people are so kind of like, you know, I don't know what it is. They think wars is about, I don't know, walking in there kind of hugging or something. I don't know what they think was supposed to happen. Yeah, people are going to die in that. Yeah, and the thing is, I think what's it called? Wasn't it Reanimate saying, I doubt Putin wanted to go in all guns blazing. The first soldiers went in there peacefully, and they were met with fire. Look, if you go into anyone's country uninvited, it's like going into a man's house uninvited, and you want to take over. You're gonna get resistance. Like, Putin was either dumb or optimistic about how welcome he would have been into Ukraine.
Yeah, it's exactly. Guys, listen, unfortunately, I have to actually end this because I literally have to call someone at 8 o'clock, so I'm already 2 minutes late.
I'll see you tomorrow anyway on the so-called grilling or something.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't even know what it is, man. I've not really watched too much. I just
we've got Jupiter and we've got the Hassan podcast.
Yeah, I know, but I want to kind of go in blind because I've been told you're going to grill me.
Yeah, I mean, it's to be honest with you, it's barely a grill. If you ever seen those roasts on like TV, you know, they do these like MTV whatever roasts. Those things are brutal in comparison to what me and Manny have managed.
So it's like toasting.
It's barely a toasting, dude.
But it's going to be serious as always, isn't it? It's going to be like serious.
We'll then go into conversations. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna definitely throw in a pigeon joke. That's about the only thing I have.
Is that it? All right. You're gonna come in with some better ammunition than that, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna
make it hard. Give me some hard questions, generally.
But we're gonna go into some stuff.
You and Manny have the capability to do it. So try it.
I mean, we probably explore the fact that you and Kay and Ghost Speakers Corner probably had a threesome last week. That's why you can come.
Oh God!
Your little menage a trois rendezvous.
No wonder I'm celibate. Oh God, that's the reason why now. Anyway, big up everybody, man.
All right.
Sweet, man. Take care,
Thank
man.
you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm going to jump off myself.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Vin, it was good to hear from you, Vin. It's a new character in the scene. If you fancy jump on more often. Take care. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, boys and girls, this is us done for another session. I'm sorry it's a quick one, but I couldn't really do a big session with this. I got to call someone and I'm already 4 minutes late, so they'll be pissed. Thank you. There is a piece of video that I want to actually play off before we totally leave, because someone sent me this, so I'm going to play it. It's on Speakers Corner Online, so if you guys want to go and see it over there, I've already posted it up there on my Speakers Corner Online account. But I'm going to try and play this off and see what it is. It's hopefully a few minutes.
He might just be the richest person alive. Vladimir Putin has access to over 20 different palaces and villas, 58 private planes and at least 4 luxury yachts. Putin is one of the richest people in the world. Thus, it's hard to place him on a list because his actual net worth is shrouded in mystery. Some estimates place it at $70 billion, while others say it could be as much as $200 billion. Some estimates place it at $70 billion, while others say it could be as much as $200 billion. From fancy cars to an expensive collection of watches, this is how the Russian billionaire spends his fortune. Vladimir Putin has no shortage of palaces, mansions and apartments to call his own. But there is one particular home that stands above the rest, his $1 billion Black Sea Palace with grand architecture and luxury comparable to France's Palace of Versailles. The seaside mansion is reported to have cost at least $1 billion to build. It's the largest private residential building in Russia with a reported 190,000 square feet of living space. Aerial photos reveal features like a large courtyard surrounded by massive wrought iron gates, a sculpture garden and an amphitheater. There's an arboretum and greenhouse, a church and a 260-foot-long bridge that leads to a 27,000-square-foot guest house. There are many rooms hidden inside, around and under the main palace, like a hockey rink, Las Vegas-style casino, swimming pools and saunas, a cocktail lounge and a gym. Olsky Navalny and his anti-corruption team revealed some of the secrets hidden inside Putin's 11-bedroom palace by comparing the building plans with expensive furniture orders traced back to the Russian president. While his incomparable palace may be Putin's current favorite, the president's title grants him access to many state palaces, state-rented apartments and vacation homes. Putin's official office is the Kremlin, a fortified complex in Moscow, that includes more than 15 buildings, 20 towers and over 1.5 miles of walls that are up to 21 feet thick. According to a report, $1 billion worth of upgrades were added to the building in the 1990s. However, his official presidential residence is different. It's a suburban government statue outside of the city called Novoarchovo. It's located in Ryablogva, home to some of Russia's most opulent mansions. It's well hidden behind walls and constantly patrolled by security. Unlike the White House, it's completely closed to the public but is known to have some spectacular gardens and royal rooms that are occasionally seen in Putin's broadcasts. The Russian president is also rumored to stay in a government-leased apartment in Moscow and Yuntra in Kilegrad, a palace right beside the beach. That's one of his official summer residences, as well as a forest-surrounded residence which was initially planned to be one of Stalin's official homes. There's also a palace in St. Petersburg formerly owned by the Romanov family and often used by Putin for state events. In addition to these lavish homes, Putin is rumored to have private vacation homes, apartments and beachside villas around the world in unknown locations. Vladimir Putin is known for having a love of cars, especially Soviet-made classics. His presidential vehicle is a bomb and bulletproof limousine. Russian-built state car production has started to make the vehicle available to the public, but Putin was the first to own this Soviet Rolls-Royce. Prices start around $245,000, but Putin's is expected to have cost over $300,000. His model comes with special features like the ability to withstand sniper fire and chemical gas attacks, advanced communications equipment and CCTV footage aired on internal screens. Putin loves a good vintage car, so his personal collection includes some favorites like his ZAZ 968. It's the first vehicle Putin ever drove and is expected to have paid around $10,000. To add a perfect conditioned used model to his car collection, in 2005 he also purchased a Gas 21 Volga for about $12,000. He drove George Bush around in this vehicle during a meeting between the two leaders in 2006. Another of Putin's classic Soviet cars is a lot of Niva 4x4 that he uses for fishing trips. However, the best traveling can't always be done on land. Perhaps even more extensive than his car collection is Putin's incredible fleet of aircrafts, which is said to be made up of at least 58 different flying machines. In 2012, dossier was drawn up by a political rival of Putin which detailed his many planes and helicopters. Included in his collection is a $20 million Dassault Falcon which seats 19 and has a full entertainment system with soundproofing. He also owns an Airbus AH319 for traveling with small groups and supposedly owns 8 Tu-154s that cost between $7.5 million and $20 million each. It's said to have an $11 million cabin decked out by jewelers with a gold toilet which costs between $75,000 and $100,000. The epic yacht, which upgraded in 2005 for reported $1.2 billion. He also owns the Graceful, which cost $100 million and can sleep 14 people in 6 lavish bedrooms. It reportedly cost $5 to $10 million in annual operation costs. Another yacht he owns is called the Seagull. It's 177 feet long and is officially part of Kremlin's fleet of yachts. Putin is secretly the world's richest person as far as we know. This is just the taste of how the luxurious Russian president's life really is. Despite all the visible luxury, the Kremlin claims Putin makes just $135,000 a year.
Okay, thank you guys. Well, there you go. Some people were claiming that Vladimir Putin was a very poor man and he's broke, and that's why he's he's on the verge of bankruptcy or some stupid shit. I think he's alright. He's good for a few quid. Anyway, thank you guys, and have yourselves a wonderful evening, and I'll try and do another Banksy's Quickie tomorrow. And of course, we always have the Friday Drunken Troll show, so keep your eyes out for that. And if you fancy it, grab a drink, grab your vodkas and your whiskeys and your beers, and come on down. And if you want to jump on the panel, let's jump on the panel, but I'm going to try and keep it funny. So we'll make some vulgar jokes and we'll get drunk and we'll pass out and then suffer the consequences on Saturday. Anyway guys, it's been awesome. I will leave you with the the voice of an angel from our own PC Steve Barnes and his Willow Wolf, and this song is called The Drum. Take care, guys, and peace.
I met a stranger in the forest today. I was lost, I asked her the way. She just smiled and looked into me. She didn't speak, but I heard her drum say, I am nature, I'll show you the way. I looked around me, I searched within the forest before me, inviting me in. And in a heartbeat the stranger was gone, but by my feet lay her deerskin drum. She left me the gift of nature's drum. And the drum said,
listen to the drum beat, the heart of the land, the call of the stag, the body of man, the cry of the eagle, the rising sun. You'll never be lost if you follow the drum. You'll never be lost if you follow